So I put money in there. Yes, could I have used that money for other things, for greater savings, for retirement contributions and whatnot? Absolutely. But the point of this money was to enjoy this money. The point of this money was to have a fantastic experience on a vacation with my wife. So I want you to realize that if you are only setting money aside for the future and not enjoying any of it right now, you're doing it wrong. Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping teachers navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time educator and personal financial coach and speaker. And I'm here to help every teacher, whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life. I'm sitting here snowed in due to a large snowstorm that just hit Texas, and I'm able to sit and reflect on a recent vacation that I took. And I want to tell you guys about it because it was the least stressful vacation I've ever been on. Now, you guys might be like me. I would plan on vacation, I'd want to go, I was excited, and then I'd start paying for it. I would, have to buy a rental car, or I'd have to get a hotel room, and I'd start trying to like nickel and dime it. It's like, well, can we get a slightly cheaper hotel room? Do we have to pay for this nicer one? And then like we end up getting not great hotels, or I would find the least expensive option for the activity we want to go on because I didn't want to spend too much money. And as we're spending money throughout this whole trip, I would just be nervous that we were overspending the whole time. And then when we get back and I'd look at how much we spent, I would start complaining about I spent too much money on this, or I can't believe we went over here on that, or I guess we're going to eat rice and beans for the next, 6 months or whatever. And it just took all of the joy out of vacation and out of travel. My wife is much better at this than I am. She wants to just enjoy the vacation, and I needed to find peace with that so that way I could enjoy the vacation, but also be financially responsible. Now, I'm not telling you to just spend willy-nilly, right? You can still try and find the best deal for accommodations, try and get a discount, you use, a Groupon or whatever you want to do. But we don't want vacations, those times that are supposed to be when we are spending on things that matter, things that we really want, to be times of financial stress. If you're not a vacation person, apply this to whatever else you spend money on that brings you joy, but you get kind of nervous about having to spend so much money on it. Because it's not about the money spent, it's about the preparation that goes beforehand. So in these previous vacations that I've been on, I would say, well, I have money in my bank account and we're just going to hope that it works out. I hadn't gone on a vacation since starting zero-based budgeting. I was really wanting to, dial in my zero-based budget, make sure I had this really understood and a well-greased wheel. And I hadn't gone on any like big vacations with my wife, and since starting that a few years back. So now that I've got my zero-based budget in place, I wanted to put it to the test. Would a zero-based budget make it better? So what does that look like? Well, in a zero-based budget, remember every single dollar has a job. You know what that job is before it is spent. You are able to prepare for any of your expenses because money's been set aside prior to that for those expenses. So what I did is over a couple of months prior to going on this vacation, I started setting aside money into a vacation fund. Anytime that we'd have additional dollars to allocate at the end of the week that we hadn't put into, our bills for the week or the grocery budget or whatnot, instead of just putting it into a generic savings category, I put that into my vacation fund. And by putting that into my vacation fund, I was able to build it up to a spot where I thought it was good. And then, I was able to start allocating my money elsewhere. And I got it up to how much I thought I was going to spend on this vacation, which I was right, by the way. So you want to make sure you have a good idea about how much you're going to spend it and not set unrealistic expectations on how little you spend. Don't be like, I'm going to spend, a bajillion dollars either, but have a nice, like, buffer. Like I want to be able to just spend money on this vacation. I want to be able to spend money on this, whatnot you want to spend money on and not worry about it. So I put money in there. Yes. Could I have used that money for other things, for greater savings, for retirement contributions and whatnot? Absolutely. But the point of this money was to enjoy this money. The point of this money was to have a fantastic experience on a vacation with my wife. So I want you to realize that if you are only setting money aside for the future and not enjoying any of it right now, you're doing it wrong. So finding a way to balance that is huge. So I put enough money aside that I thought would be what I'd spend on this vacation. And then we went. I wasn't, nickel and diming that whole time. Yes, I got a very inexpensive Airbnb instead of a hotel room, and it was not the nicest Airbnb, but it was fine. It was a perfect location. We were able to walk downtown in San Antonio where we went instead of having to try and find parking, which is really, really difficult in downtown San Antonio. And so that was a great location. And then we were able to just kind of spend on things that we thought were fun. We got to go into some caves and explore those. We got to go to a show. We got to climb up on this really cool rope course thing and spend money on so much good food. And during that time, I was just following my mantra saying, I have set money aside for this. I'm going to enjoy it. And I enjoyed the vacation. Usually I enjoy it during the actual vacation. It's when I come home that I'm stressed. But I was like, I'm enjoying this. We're just gonna have a good time. And then we came home and I you know, updated my spending tracker and my zero-based budget. And I had within just a few dollars set aside the correct amount for that vacation. Um, and as I was tallying it as we went throughout the vacation, I was just really, pleased to be like, I set this money aside. I was going along through the vacation saying we've spent this much, so we have this much to go. And it was just so nice to be able to say, I did it. I went on a vacation that I paid for in advance, that every single dollar that went into that vacation was money that was supposed to go into that vacation. And when I got home and I tallied it up and I'd spent that much, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, I spent so much money on this vacation. It's the end of the world. That was fun. That was a great experience because the financial stress wasn't there afterwards. There was no financial guilt that followed the vacation because I'd put the money aside. So wrapping this up, I usually do nice short episodes when I do just me. I want to have you guys understand the steps that it takes to enjoy a vacation or whatever it is. Say you like to buy really expensive musical instruments and that just stresses you out that you want to spend that much money on a musical instrument, whatever it is. Here are the steps that you follow. You get a zero-based budget. I use mybudgetcoach.com. I recommend that you use that. You can go to teachyourmoneyshow.com/podcast to find the direct link to my budget coach in the show notes for today's show, or you can go to the description in your podcast player to find the show notes there and get the link to my budget coach, which is a fantastic platform, great zero-based budget. And if you sign up using my link, then I'll be able to support you in your budget. You can ask me questions, and then you can also sign up for reduced rates on coaching through that if you would like as well. So it's a really great overall value for that. But you start with the zero-based budget, however you do that, whether that's my budget coach or spreadsheet, or if you just want to do it by hand, you can do that. And then you start allocating your dollars. Where is my money going to go? And you allocate dollars towards that expense, towards that thing that is usually giving you guilt, usually giving you financial stress. And you just start putting money into that. If it's a certain time that needs to happen, say you're going to go on a vacation in the summer, then you are saying, how much do I need each month between now and then to put into that to have enough to go on this vacation? And you just make that happen every single month. If it's in the future, then you don't have to be as rigid about it. But you can just start putting money aside. Say, okay, I've met these goals. I've saved for retirement. I've put money aside into emergency fund. I've covered my bills. Okay, now I'm going to start putting money towards my expense that I'd like to spend money on. and guilt-free money on that. So you don't ignore the things that matter, like your retirement savings and your emergency fund. But when those things are funded, you're able to put money aside into this thing, that this expensive, often uh, guilt-ridden experience. And then when you put that money aside and you've reached the amount you need, you spend it. That is the final step. You spend the money and you don't allow yourself to feel guilty because you prepared for this. You did it on purpose. And it wasn't I guess I'm just gonna, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? And then you have to feel guilty about it. Or someone buys it for you for Christmas instead, or I don't know, whatever the thing is, and you feel guilty that you didn't buy it yourself, or your spouse buys it for you, and you say, we couldn't afford that, right? Those are the types of things that you don't want to have happen. You want to be well prepared with a zero-based budget, putting money into that, and then using that money that you've set aside to buy things that bring you joy, because that's what really matters. We cut those things that don't matter. All right, staying in a fancy, ritzy hotel doesn't matter to me. That's why I stayed in a relatively inexpensive Airbnb. It was private. It was a great location, right? I didn't want to stay in a fancy, ritzy hotel, so we saved some money there. We probably saved $100 a night by staying in this Airbnb. But if staying in a ritzy hotel matters to you, then you would spend more on the ritzy hotel, right? It's just all about what matters to you. You cut back on the things that don't matter, so you can spend on the things that do matter. Food matters a lot to me and my wife, so we made sure that we were ready to spend a lot on food. That's really what it comes down to. Put money aside to spend on what matters to you. And when you have the money, spend it. So that is my thought for you guys today. Use a zero-based budget, put money aside, spend the money that you want to spend on the things that matter to you, the things that bring you joy, because they're bringing you joy. And that is the whole point. Money does not matter by itself, the joy that matters. And you guys know this. You get the joy of bringing education to students every single day, even though you are underpaid for your professional attainment. But the joy, the fulfillment that comes from that matters a lot. And that's one reason why people wouldn't trade teaching for anything, because of that fulfillment. And as you master your zero-based budget, as you are able to spend on things that bring you joy in your life, as you're able to put aside money for your long-term financial security and wealth, just remember that as a teacher, you are already rich. Your wallet just needs to catch up. If you would like help on your personal financial situation, go to teachermoneyshow.com/coaching and you'll be able to find different ways that I can help you there. If you would like to participate in spreading this message of financial empowerment to teachers, I would encourage you to talk to your administrator or to your district level about going to SeanKMorgan.com to find more information there. And regardless of which one of those you need, please like and subscribe so that way we can spread the reach of this more. Leave a 5-star rating and review. That's going to help more teachers find this. And then turn around and tell a teacher friend. I really appreciate it.
The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.